Hello everybody and welcome back to another Jollymun Podcast. I believe this is episode 33 and today is the 4th of August 2020. It was 12:22 when I started, which has got 3 2s in it, but now as I check the time it is 12:23. And it's a lovely cloudy day, but that doesn't mean the day can't be lovely, as I've just reiterated. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful, everyone. It's a Tuesday morning, early afternoon. I've just had my eggs, and I was listening to Bob Dylan. So I listened to this guy called Luther Allison, some blues guy, while I was frying eggs, which was nice. It was, made me feel like I had company. Very enjoyable. The eggs were good. Because I had this problem where Tesco's, they changed their egg suppliers. They swapped the chickens around, and the eggs that this new set of eggs, which were in, first of all, they were in like plastic casings as opposed to the soft cardboard that I was used to. And I cracked one of these eggs, and it was this very strange entity fell out of the shell. It looked like an egg, but the thing is, the yolk, it had almost like burst within the shell, but it looked very, very dissatisfying. It kind of all had gelled together into this strange yellowy, cloudy. I've put it in the bin, basically. That's what I did. Because the worst thing is that I put it in a pan with loads of other eggs, and this egg was a bit dodgy. And I thought, you know what? If this chicken, maybe I was being a bit sensitive here. I probably was. I'm not even going to deny that, actually. But if this chicken's maybe got a bit unwell, and then now it's gone all over the other eggs, so I'm not sure if I want to eat these eggs. So I think I wasted 2 eggs, which for me is pretty modern tragedy. Maybe like 3 out of 10. Pretty bad day. Bad way to start my morning. But I bounced back. You can never let one mishap dictate anything. Unless you get loads in a row. If you get like 15 mishaps, yeah, go on, be sad for the next 4 hours. Fair enough. Allow yourself the break. Just feel sorry for yourself just for a minute. 4 hours. Lie back on the sofa. Yeah, Alfie, Actually, Alfie, you've had 15 mishaps already. It's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think I'm just going to waste my life away just for a little bit. And then you wake up the next morning, bang, right out the door. I think that's a good way to live your life. Because you've got to be sad sometimes, surely. No, well, maybe. There'll be a guy out there, somewhere in like Hawaii or one of these islands which hasn't found phones yet. I was reading about that. There's this book called Sapiens, and he tells you all about where the humans came from. Basically, we started in Africa, we walked around for ages, and we just kept walking, foraging. And then, we just started planting seeds. And it's actually quite interesting, because what happened is, once we started planting seeds, it allowed us to have our food supply. I don't quite understand how it works. But basically, we could have loads more children. We could just, maybe because we had, houses, pregnant women were safe or something. Basically, the population increased significantly. But our diet was much less varied because we were just eating wheat constantly, mashing it up, eating it constantly. That's all we ate because that's the only field we had, field of wheat. And so actually what was interesting is that the population, our health deteriorated. We started having all kinds of health problems, but there were loads of us, so we were all suffering together. Nothing's changed, people, nothing's changed since 10,000 years ago. We're all suffering together. And that's kind of secretly what's quite fun, I think, when you're in a traffic jam and you're trying to be angry at the world, but you look over to your left, there's like an overweight guy sitting with his arm hanging out the window. It's a hot summer's day. He's playing some music. He's being a bit grumpy, but then you look to your left and there's another one. There's one in front of you, there's behind you as well. You just realise, I'm just surrounded by people who are a bit frustrated, but it's quite funny, really. And that makes it okay. Unless you're on the way to the hospital or something. If you're on the way to the hospital, your wife's giving birth mid-car journey, yeah, okay. I can understand the lack of satisfaction at a traffic jam, sure, I'll give you that. I was on social media the other day, and this day, for too long, and you kind of see these people in the comments. This may sound like some kind of hacky idea, and oh yeah, what's he going to say? Oh, these people are arguing on the internet, but no. And there's this, I kind of only see this from a kind of political view, from kind of, or I understand you can't just judge everyone on one spectrum, but let's just say more like conservative views. So that encompasses all sorts of ideas, but they kind of use the word like truth all the time. They just say, oh, you can't handle the truth, or he says it how it is, he speaks the truth. That's a very, very ignorant attitude, to believe that you have access to the truth on an idea or a concept. Transgender, for example. This guy speaks the truth. A woman's a woman. Just because you do this doesn't now she's not a man. That's just the truth. I mean, it's just ignorant. If that's the truth, why is there another opinion? Right? Why is there something you're fighting against? If there was something you weren't fighting against, then hey, probably is much closer to an accurate statement. But if you've got also a million people on the other side going, well, actually, I see it this way, then again, probably a bit further from the truth. But that's okay, because you're convinced and you believe in your little world of just delusion, and in your little imaginary world. We've all got imaginary worlds, really. Let's be honest here. In your little imaginary, very, very small imaginary world, I must say, very small looking glass, you're correct. And that may fulfill you. Maybe when you wake up in the morning, you go, my views on transgenderism are just sublime. God, they're accurate. I'm the truth speaker. That's okay. A little bit embarrassing, though. It is a little bit embarrassing, especially when you decide to voice them on Instagram. Especially when you consider somebody who has access to the truth on a topic. Wouldn't you expect maybe to write books? Maybe they'd be on the news. God forbid, maybe they'd be like a huge... If you actually had truth, you'd be king of the world. Because we haven't really found anyone else who has actual truth yet. Anyway, but I suppose you're restricted to what, like the 130 characters you can say on Twitter. That's how much truth you've got. You have to try and distill it down to 100 little characters. I just wish people had... it'd be nice if people were a bit more understanding of each other. And at the end of the day, if you're not, if somebody else feels a certain way, you can just let them... If it's all self-contained. If I say, actually, you know what? Today I'm just going to decide that I just want to spend time with myself and I'm going to draw a picture of a dog climbing a mountain. That's my lifestyle decision. That's what I'm going to do for the next week, for example. I'm not going to trouble anyone else. What? You can't disturb me. I think it's a bit unfair. Anyway. It's all kind of control. It's hilarious. Everyone with a little bit of self-control, well, people who don't have much control over themselves, have to control others. It's like the biggest law. It's not true. It's not true. Make sure I define that. But it's a pretty significant law, I would say. It's flexible law. In fact, it's not a law. Because I'm just being a bit hypocritical now, really, aren't I? It's just something that I've noticed, and there are exceptions. In fact, it's not true. It's not true at all, really. I made it up. Yeah. Sometimes we just make fool of ourselves in conversation. I did it to myself the other day. Just slap, bang, ignorant comment by accident. I was well intentioned as well, and I just made a stupid comment. I mean, so I was talking about comedy to somebody, and they said, "Oh, I quite like Sarah Pascoe, because she's funny, but she's also clever." And I said, "Oh, she's pretty." And then this person went on to talk about how she was writing books about sexism and how it was very new stuff, and it was very useful for women to read those things because they realised some of the things that they accepted were very sexist. And I just had to have said she's pretty. It's like the only acknowledgement I gave to Sarah Pascoe's existence, bearing in mind I knew all those other things as well. How embarrassing. How awful. It's okay. I think I smiled. Hopefully that'll make up for it. And then I did go on to talk to the person about books, Sarah Pascoe's books. So it was okay. But it was a bit of a slight knee-jerk misogyny. But I don't know if that's misogyny. Not the best retort, basically. What could I have said? I could have said, yes, I've seen her on Would I Lie to You? Or I've seen her books in the library. think she is a strong figure. Socially, not physically, because I haven't noticed her figure physically, personally. But socially, she's done some good things. You know, I mean, maybe that would be a bit more apt. Again, well, I've realised how people only... You know, when you hear about these people and they just work themselves to death because they don't want to, like... They just work super hard so they don't have to, like, be with themselves, you know. They just work all the time and it hides, like, all the difficulties that they have. I can kind of see why people do that when you get older. And you start, like, you know, you hear all those people and that they, like, have a family, but they don't really like the family, so they just work all the time. It's usually, like, I don't know, like, kind of middle class families, that kind of thing. And I kind of get it, because with my job, I find, I'm like, oh, I've got a day off, I can just relax, and then I won't have to do anything until 5 PM tomorrow when I start my shift. It's like, no. You are, to some extent, a free being, okay? To an extent which you're content with, so you're free enough. If Alfie, look, you consider yourself to be free enough, therefore you're free, really, that's all it is. And yet, now you're just going to ditch all your little endeavours, all your little creative things, and all your little dreams and aspirations, just because your schedule is, like, dictated now. How embarrassing. How awful. So that's why I went on my Mandela walk the other day. It was really, really good. Went walking, just walked. I knew where I was going. Well, I didn't know where I was going. I was kind of just followed where I thought Mandela would be, towards central London. I'm pretty good with central directions. Bumped into all sorts of people. There's one woman, she was having like a meltdown on her phone. She was like screaming down the phone. She's like, no, don't go. Something like that. I don't know what was going on. Anyway, she disappeared down into Liverpool Street Station. I felt kind of bad for her, but she was in such distress. I feel like she had a force field around her, and if I entered it, I'd just get like thrown across the road. And she was on the phone. You never want to disturb somebody who's on the phone. It's quite scary though. No, not scary. I think she had it under control. But yeah, you realise, I was walking down, I think it's called like Shore, I don't know where the road is. It goes past Liverpool Street, that main road. And I was just looking down the road and I saw there were buses, and these red buses. And then you just saw behind them, there was just like, huge, like the buses looked tiny compared to these huge glass buildings. It was really insane. Monolith. I want to quickly look up what monolith means, because I almost just used it, but I didn't know what it meant. Monolith. Could I have used it to describe the tall glass buildings? Let's find out. A large single upright block of stone, especially one shaped into or serving as a pillar or monument. A large impersonal political, corporate or social structure regarded as indivisible and slow to change. Okay. No, I couldn't have used it. So I would say what's the building? What's in Mecca? What's it called? Is it the Kaaba? That's probably a monolith. I think it's called the Kaaba. Is it called the Kaaba? Kaaba? Mecca? Oh yeah, it's called the Kaaba. God, look at that knowledge. I read like the first few pages of the Quran the other day. It's quite interesting. I do find it a little bit... I'm personally not anti-religious to any extent. I accept you do what you like. Look, be happy, you know. But I found some of the language, and I did find it a little bit. It didn't really suit the like kind of lifestyle I would want, because it's just a lot of like the Lord is powerful, the Lord is powerful, the Lord is powerful, the Lord will, the day of judgment, the Lord is powerful. Sure, it's the only first 2 pages, but I was just a bit like, man, come on, can't I just do can't I just do my thing? Why does the Lord have to be powerful all the time? He's got to be weak sometimes, right? But I suppose that's like the idea that I've just shattered the idea of religion by saying that he's got weakness. I value it nonetheless, but I just realised it wasn't quite for me. Anyway, this podcast was one of my favourites I've ever done. So if you want to share it with anyone or do whatever you please, because maybe they'd enjoy it. I don't really advertise a podcast that much, because for me it's just mainly a punching bag for just like talking and practicing ideas and things. But a few people have listened to it, said they enjoyed it. So have a lovely day, and I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.